you doing, my friends, and Happy New Year! This is the very first video that I am doing here in 2019, and it's kind of a big and important one for me because as we moved into 2019, it gave me the chance to realize that, oh my god, in 2018, we kind of crossed over my 10-year mark for being on YouTube or just doing digital stuff. I've been in this industry for 10 years, so I know normally here on the channel we like to look into the future with news, superheroes, comic books, and video games that are coming out, sometimes theory videos. So instead of looking to the future, I want to take a look back at the last 10 years and kind of tell my story of how I got here. Now, a lot of you probably think that it all started with Smosh Games, maybe a little King of the Nerds, but no, man, that was literally like the halfway point in this wild adventure that I've been on. So I kind of want to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some of these moments and these other jobs that I've had and other videos that I've done. I'm going to link to these videos down below so you can watch all of the cringe fest of my last 10 years to how I got to where I am. So let's get started. It all goes back to the year 2008 when I actually got let go of my job at VH1. If you look at my IMDb, you'll see some familiar stuff there, but you'll also be like, dude, you worked on a lot of VH1 of love shows. There was Rock of Love. There was A Real Chance of Love, For the Love of Ray J. They had a lot of love shows in the early 2000s, and I worked on a few of them in post-production. Now, I was mainly on set. That's right. I was on tour with Bret Michaels for the third season of Rock of Love. But I eventually got promoted to be in the post-production office, and unfortunately, at the time, there was some downsizing. So because I was the first one to get promoted, I was the first one to, get let go. And instead of jumping back into the workforce, being like, all right, let's find another TV job. Already it was difficult to do, and I got lucky to get in that spot. But what I saw was some of my friends doing some stuff on YouTube and just the internet. And I was like, wait a second. That might be the future of what's next when it comes to the industry. And especially seeing at the time Pepsi had taken out $1 million of their Super Bowl marketing budget and put that into online marketing. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the future. This is what's next. So I wanted to learn as much as I could. So in 2008, my roommates actually introduced me to this group of friends that were doing this thing called Lag TV. Now, I don't think I have any links for this because I don't even know where those videos lived anymore. But I would drive all the way from Anaheim to Encino at midnight. After they were done filming, and I would get in there and I would edit their entire show together and put all their segments and assets together. And then, so I'd get to the studio, they'd all leave the studio, and I'd be there for a few hours, and then upload, then drive all the way back to Anaheim and do it again the next day. It wasn't great, but there was a segment on this show, or network, called Rad Nerd. And that was it was hosted by Bo Ryan and Leo Camacho. Now, Leo Camacho, that's a name that you know. Now, yes, I've known Leo Camacho for 10 years. We met each other at Lag TV while he was hosting Rad Nerd. Now, another guy that was working on Rad Nerd stuff a little bit here and there was Flitz. All three of us knew each other way back 10 years ago. That's where it all started. And after Lag TV kind of went down, Rad Nerd continued with Bo and Leo, and I would live on the couch at Bo's apartment, editing and shooting videos for them. Sometimes where Leo was working at a place near my grandma's house, so I would go to Leo's work in the morning, pick up his laptop, go to my grandma's house, get some free Hot Pockets, and just sit down and edit until Leo was off work, where he'd pick up the laptop, we'd go over some notes, and then he would take the laptop home and upload. That was the life. That is how we learned how to be YouTubers, was just this random YouTube channel called Rad Nerd. I was more behind the scenes then. I had a goatee at the time. That was embarrassing. There was just a lot of stuff going on, and we learned how to work together, and it was great. Obviously, Leo's gone on to do what he's doing. Bo's had a great career also. It all started with Rad Nerd. And while they had the YouTube channel, they also had a live show that they did at the stream.tv. Now, that was, I was interning there a little bit. I was interning with Rad Nerd, and by interning, it was free. I worked for free. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to learn the ropes so that you can then have better jobs in the future. But what the stream.tv was, it was a live network that had shows, actual shows that were done live. Now, this is before Twitch, and again, Twitch was mainly people gaming and live streaming. Now, this was just live stream shows. So the audience was in the chat. People could interact with the hosts, and it was great. It was ahead of its time, and it was awesome. Now, I'll get back to that in a little bit, but because of that place, because of the Stream.tv and Brian Gramo, I actually got a job at, I think it was called GNet. They made video game trailers, and I worked on the Crackdown 2 trailer, and I was like I would help create the content inside the game while they were capturing it, which would get put into the trailer. It was like the one big trailer that I worked on. Well, that was pretty cool, but I learned more about just video games and editing, and it was just another step along the way. Now, doing stuff with Radner and having some random jobs, a lot of it was just like Craigslist jobs here and there, and I was just trying to make money how I could. And then I wound up getting this job on Craigslist to edit video game walkthroughs. I was like, oh, I love video games, and I love editing. I can do this. So I got a phone call with these guys, and I thought they said, come work for Machinima. And I was like, what? This is a big deal. I'm going to work for Machinima. And I drive down to Santa Monica the next day to start my new job at Machinima. And on the building, it says Mahalo. And I'm like, well, that's not Machinima. I totally misheard. He said it was like Machinima. It was nothing like Machinima. It was very different. But it was a job, and I was happy to have it. Now, this job was a big part of my career. Now, if you ever... Maybe you've seen some videos with myself, Lasergore, and Soinky. We'll talk about this company that will not be named. Well, this was the name of it. It was Mahalo. It was a really... it was ran by someone that was really bad. He was not a good person. He had a huge ego problem. He was a horrible person. Anyways, but at this job, I met Sohinki. It literally me and Sohinki met on the same day. We started the same day. He walked in a suit, and I was like, what's going on with this guy? He thought it was a job interview. But I met Soinky there, Lasercorn. I met Brett Noberikawa. I'll talk about him more in a second. I brought Flitz in there. Also, Matt Robb I met at Mahalo. Now, Mahalo was like a search engine. Like, if you searched, how do I bake a potato? Then a website from Mahalo would pop up, and it's like, this is how you bake a potato. Well, we were the how-to gaming section. We had a little room in the back. And we made how-to walkthroughs. So it was like how to beat Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. God, that game was absolutely terrible. We were doing video game walkthroughs, but I kind of wanted to expand what we did there on the channel, so I did my very first review for a video game, and it's super cringy, and I'm linking it down below. It was called Aragorn's Quest. Hey gamers, Joshua Evan here, the Paranormal Pirate, and we're looking at the new Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest. This thing took me 3 weeks to do, between just working conditions, having to do other stuff, and the game not being that great. But I nailed it. I did my first review. Link down below. I even did a Smeagol impression in the review.
Hi Herbitzes, it's Smeagol, and I'm going to talk about the new Lord of the Preciousness game starring me, Smeagol.
It's just, it is what it is. We all start somewhere, and that was a start. But we had like these crazy deadlines that we had to meet, where we would be like quotas. We had like literally at one point in time 60 videos from each person that had to be uploaded, and it wasn't a great environment, and I was constantly trying to do more, and I actually got let go from that company. I got fired because I was always trying to shake things up. I was the difficult guy, and I'll always remember the video that got me fired there. It was, I wanted to bring in a kitten, a little kitty cat, to play with a controller, and then do a voiceover and have like cats review video games. And I thought it was a great idea. This was before cats really blew up on the internet, or around the same time. I don't know. I was ahead of the game, let's just say that. And because I was causing too much chaos in the workplace, or being too much of a distraction, I got let go. So, whatever, their loss. Obviously, I knew what I was doing because I went on to do great things. That's neither here nor there. So I wound up then going back to the Stream.tv. I mentioned them a little bit earlier, but this time not as an intern. This time, I was I was like a full-fledged employee. I was there helping with cameras. I was editing. I was putting together packages. So I helped with that. And I also, while there, was able to pilot a season for a show that I did a long time ago called Geekdown. It was pretty much like, it was our podcast-style show where we talked about things that happened, different trivial things about geek culture, and it was fun. It was me. It was Brett Noberikawa, Flitz was on there, we always had a guest, and then Matt Robb would actually come on as a full-time person for the show.
What's up guys, I'm Josh Jovenshire, the Jovenshire, and I will be running you through our Pitch This segment that we do here on Geekdown.
I loved Geekdown, it was a lot of fun. It was, I'll put a link down below to one of my favorite episodes. A lot of friends that I had on as guests would later on do great things in the industry, and it was a place for me to kind of learn how to be a host and be better on camera. So it was a good start. I liked it. It was fun. And then I did that for a little bit, and then eventually we went to Soinky and Lasercorn got picked up, and a bunch of our other friends from Mahalo got picked up and went over to a company called Clever. Now we're starting to talk about something that maybe sounds a little familiar, right? Now, at Clever, our friend Andrew Renee, who was also at Mahalo, was now a host of Clever Games, brought Sohinki over to be Clever Games. Lasercorn was doing other editing stuff there, and the two of them actually recommended me for a position at the job to be a content manager for Clever Movies. So they were doing other stuff, and I was on the movies channel. Now, I wasn't really doing any on-camera there. I wasn't editing. I was just uploading videos and coming up with some of the news stories. Now, the channel normally was focusing on red carpet stuff and what movies did well over the weekend. And I was like, hey, what if you guys start talking about like geeky news and what that can mean, and a lot of what I do here on the channel. And we started throwing in some stuff in there, like even before Thanos was even mentioned in Avengers, I had them do a story about what if Thanos was going to be a thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time. And the host, Tatiana Carrier, who's an absolutely amazing person. We kind of had like this brother-sister relationship where we were constantly kind of like jabbing at each other but having a good time doing it. She'd get kind of confused with some of the news stories. I was like, here, I'll write this one. This is what you got to say. This is the thing. And then it got to the point, I remember there was one day I had written the story and she's like, I'm not feeling too well. Do you want to take over for me? And I was like, I would love to. And I did my very first teleprompter story there. It's not good. I'll link, if I can find it, I'll put a link down below. It was talking about Catwoman in the Batman Dark Knight Rises, because that movie I don't think had come out yet. Oh no, it hadn't come out yet. So Anne Hathaway had just been cast in it, and I was like, I'm going to talk about this. It's not good. It's my very first teleprompter video, and if anything, it's to go and show you that we all start somewhere, and you're not great when you start, but you shouldn't let that deter you. You should just constantly get better. And I've gotten slightly better at teleprompter stuff. But there's a link to that. But I also eventually got to do my own show on the channel called Just Cool. Now this is super cringy. I'm gonna get made fun of by this. My friends that were editing, they still make fun of this because they hated editing my show Just Cool. It was pretty much me in front of a green screen, very jump cutty, talking about all the big nerdy news that week. Sound familiar? This is where it started. The reason I called it Just Cool was Just Cool with Jovenshire, and it was God, so bad. It was the end tagline was, it's not nerdy, it's not geeky, it's just cool.
I'm the Jovenshire, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I'm not trying to be geeky, I'm not trying to be nerdy. I'm just talking about this stuff because it's just cool.
I was trying to break down the stereotypical roles at the time. I was like, it's not just geeky, it's not nerdy, it's just cool. So I called it Just Cool, and the editors hated cutting it because it was A, cringy, B, it was a lot of editing to do and a lot of assets. It wasn't fun to do for them. I loved it. I still think it was a great thing on the channel. Maybe the name wasn't fantastic. I don't know. I liked it. It was just cool, whatever. I'll link to it. You can watch it. It's down below. Go if you want to see the other episodes, go find them. But that was early Jovenshire there on Clever Movies. Eventually, Andrew Renee left Clever Games to go work at another company, and I kind of filled in the void for Clever Games as a host, but so did Lasercorn also stepped up. So Inky was already on the channel. So the three of us started doing on-camera stuff with news. We also started doing like little machinima shorts or reviews on Clever Games. In fact, one of the videos that I'll also link down to below was, God, if YouTube hasn't taken it down yet, we did in Arkham City. It was an Easter egg that you can find Calendar Man, and on different holidays, he would actually he would have something specific to say for each holiday. So on April 20th, I want to say this was 2012, we wound up doing, this was silly. We did Calendar Man Easter egg for 420, and Soinky voiced Calendar Man. We cut it together. It was fun. It was stupid, but it was fun. And we just made random fun gaming videos on Clever Games. And then, obviously, after Alloy bought Clever, we were now under the same company as Smosh, and then we decided we had the opportunity to work with Ian and Anthony to make Smosh games, and the rest of that is that history that we know. And we did Smosh games for 6 years. 6 years it went for. That was a long time. So between 2008 and 2018, I was all over the place with these crazy opportunities. And the advice I would give is, if you're ever doing something, just every time you do it, do something a little bit different each time. Learn a new thing each time. So like when I was editing videos, I would edit a video, but I'd learn a new transition, or I would learn a new effect. Each time I would just get a little bit better, just a little bit better each and every time, and it helped me perfect my art. Now, my art is far from perfect. You constantly need to get better, and you constantly need to learn and always thrive to be better. Another advice that I'd give is just say yes to the adventure. When opportunities come up, you got to do them. You got to go along for the way. That's been the last 10 years of my life. Down in the comments below are a bunch of videos that are super cringy, but you can watch and have a good time going down memory lane. I'm going to watch them too. And again, like, this was all to kind of look at the last 10 years so I can look at what's coming up next. Some of my goals for not only 2019 but moving forward is I want to make cartoons. I'm working on some cartoons right now. I might have some big announcements coming up in the near future. I want to do more voiceover work. I just want to create more shows. So I'll do it here, and I'll also do it on other channels or on other networks. So please, I hope that you follow me on this adventure, because I love creating shows. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I want to do a lot more of it. So thank you guys to being here for the last 10 years of my career. Even if you've only been since Smosh Games, even if you've just been since like the last 2 or 3 videos, I'm just glad to have you here on this crazy, wild adventure. It's been a ride, and I've loved every single moment of it. So I hope that the next 10 years are just as exciting. So that's it. I need to go drink water. I've been talking too much, but this was fun. It was super cringy, and just thank you guys. I can't wait to see what's next. So till the next time, I'll see you later.